So before I talk about multiplayer, I want to make a quick update. I realized the button layouts on the controller for my Doom 4 game would actually still have some buttons available. I completely forgot about this because originally I filled all the buttons by having sprint, throw, grenade, and a melee attack. I then changed it to the same thing, but the grenade was adjusted to have alternate ammo, kind of like in Rage. However, I felt like both of those options just didn't seem to work as a Doom game as I, vision it. So I scrapped them both and I completely forgot to figure out what I should add to make use of all the controller buttons. So with that said, I decided to give those 3 free slots the ability to carry 3 more weapons. 2 of them are interchangeable, but one of them is for the BFG 9000. Basically, what is it? So basically, when you find the gun, you will keep it and you will never lose it, and I think that makes a lot of sense of why I made that decision. With that said, I also believe it's good to add some more adjustments due to this change. I'll be adding a couple more weapons to the sandbox so I could encourage players to scavenge weapons, and the ammo cost at merchants might be more expensive because I do want to create some sort of tension. It's not like a survival horror. It's still going to be decent in the ammo count, but I believe I do want to make sure the player still have some sort of tension when they have these 7 powerful arsenals with them. Okay, for multiplayer, well, Doom is primarily a single player game and it's well known for that, but it did standardized deathmatch, and I do feel like it's a no-brainer to not have multiplayer. So Doom 1, I thought it was fun, and there were only a handful of maps that were good for deathmatch, but I thought it was mindlessly fun. I don't really think it held up as well compared to the more well-known multiplayer shooters, but it was still a blast to play. Doom 2 improved it drastically. I felt like the maps were more catered to this mode, and also the single player. There were quite a bit of maps that, did give you a good deathmatch experience if you wanted to play, the multiplayer in Doom 2, especially on map 1 and 2. I personally think Doom 2 holds up more better due to these enhancements, and it was really fun to use the BFG at the same time too. Doom 3 was interesting, I guess. I thought it was fun. I played it a lot online, and I was a pub stomper essentially. But the thing I started to notice about Doom 3 was the lack of maps. It only had like 4 to 5 maps, I believe, and another thing is it felt like a more realistic version of Quake 3. I then also realized it felt like it didn't put as much sweat and man work into the multiplayer as much compared to the single player. The single player was so refreshing but familiar, and that was great in how they challenged themselves, but for Doom 3 multiplayer, it's like, oh yeah, here's the multiplayer, enjoy it. So overall, I liked it, but it felt lazy at the same time. So for Doom 4, I definitely want to keep true to the arena style gameplay that the franchise had. It's not Call of Duty, although I am taking some elements, but keep listening. I think it's really the right choice I'm making. I basically want the game to have loadouts, so you will have the primary weapons, which will include the shotgun, rocket launcher, plasma gun, assault rifle, etc. Any non-pistol weapon, but they're conventional weapons. And then you will have the secondary, which are just the pistols, and I only have 2 different versions of them, so don't think I'm throwing a lot of stuff in the weapon section. I don't know if I want players to earn their weapons by grinding. I think it's good to do this because it will help you get more familiar with the weapon, but at the same time, it ruins the flexibility. I added the rocket launcher because I want to appeal to Quake players, and I know Quake players are most likely going to jump on the rocket launcher because it's really the iconic gun in the Quake franchise, and it just feels wrong to force them to, earn that weapon by using guns that they probably don't even care about. I also will be using the same ideology that Doom 3 did. Basically, the weapons in Doom 3, they acted differently compared to the weapons in the single player. Like, the shotgun was actually more accurate. The plasma gun, it only had 30 rounds in the magazine. And, what is it? Oh yeah, the physics were different. For example, you could rocket jump much more easier in the multiplayer. So, that is something that I kind of want Doom 4 multiplayer to have. So yeah, the game does have a loadout system, but it's super simple. It's not like Call of Duty where there are all these, all of these customizations or options or whatever. It's basically you pick a primary and a secondary and go out there and earn your kills. Another thing I want to mention is all weapons will be usable. It's not like Doom where you need to hog for that rocket launcher or BFG to do well, or in Halo you gotta have that battle rifle with you, or matter of fact, like a lot of these multiplayer shooters, they generally force you to use they generally force you to only use a certain amount of weapons within the sandbox for some reason. I don't want that to be the case for this game's multiplayer. For example, I want the shotgun to be somewhat capable of handling itself in mid-range, but obviously the assault rifle will dominate the weapon because it's designed for that range. So the weapons will be really balanced and have their good amount of usage. Next thing are the perks. Now the game won't have any perk system, I promise. I would not want to put that in this game, but I do like the whole idea of how Call of Duty makes their perks, and I do want to use this feature as a power-up system. Imagine picking up a power-up that gives you the ability to reload faster, or maybe you can pick up this power-up and it gives you the ability to double jump. And I think this is a really cool feature, and if I can take the time and think of some really good ones, it can also be a nice system to use. Also, you will lose these benefits if you die. And keep in mind, this is not like a quad damage or what is it, invisibility. It's not like the super powerful power-ups. It's just like a normal power-up essentially. So it will still have regen health, but there will be armor pickups, and armor will play in a big role. So don't think you can be good without picking up armor. You need to. Another reason why I want regen health is to make it more faster paced into action. Everything else is pretty much, standard arena shooter style procedure. There will be mega power ups like the quad damage or haste. I definitely want to add some new ones to make it refreshing, and there will be ammo and weapon pickups, of course. I also want to say that the mapping might be similar to a lot of the arena style shooters too, which are, these weird complexes or arenas. I don't really know what to call, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. I also hope to have some city maps because Doom 4 does take place on Earth, and I do want some of that to, have that Earth-like feel, if you know what I'm talking about. Although it could work, but I'm afraid it might end up feeling like a Call of Duty map, but who knows. I want to support around 20 maps. Now, all these maps are kind of like exclusive to their own game modes. For example, 11 maps for deathmatch, 5 of them for CTF, and 4 of them are kind of for these special ranked matches, which I will be talking about them soon. For the game types, I do want multiple game types. You got deathmatch, team deathmatch, CTF, domination, the Call of Duty domination, and I actually like this mode a lot. And the main reason why I want this mode for this game is because I think it could really work well if the adjustment is right. I've always thought domination is a really good mode to appeal for both objective players, but also for people that just want to kill. And I think it's good to to include as much modes as I could for this game, but they have to be fitting at the same time. I'm sure I could think of more, but that's all I could really think about. And I think the game will have a lot of standard fare modes. I don't know if I could really think of some unique ones, but it would be nice if I could try to add 2 of them, I guess. Now for this feature, I want to add a more serious or competitive version of Doom 4's multiplayer. There will be adjustments like no loadouts. Everyone is going to start off with a similar weapon. This mode I have in mind is definitely targeted for 1v1s or 2v2s. So this will be a ranked match type of experience than just a player match. I will have maps that are exclusive to this mode to really make it work for the 1v1 or 2v2 experience. So basically, this game mode will support leaderboards, and it's essentially a MLG variant of Doom 4. I really want Doom 4 to have a competitive spirit to it, just like Quake does. And yeah, it's probably not going to be for many people, but yeah, like I said, this is just for the people that really want to get pro at the game's multiplayer, or it's generally it's basically esport gaming essentially. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this mode essentially. Now I'm done with all the game design parts. I'll talk about the online side. Dedicated server support for both consoles and PC. I mean, I heard the Xbox One will be more supported to Dedi servers, so yeah, I'm definitely going to support that. PC version will be very PC standard. Game browser. So what that means is you can choose your own game. You don't have to match make it. You can also host your own server with like specific game modes, but I don't want to support stupid game modes like shotguns only or rockets only. I might support sniper only because, well, it's a sniper rifle. You gotta like improve your headshots and all that stuff, but it's either that and vanilla gameplay. So yeah, there's really not much else I can talk about that. Oh, and I almost forgot, for the ranked matches, it's definitely going to be only matchmaking because ranked matches will have a true skill system, and that's one thing that a lot of the competitive players want. And to really make, Doom 4 have a serious competitive edge, I need to kind of restrict the options a lot more. So what that means is you won't be able to like join the game in progress, and it just doesn't really make sense to like allow people to host games for like a competitive setting. It should be, automatically done it for you. On the console side, it's similar to what Call of Duty or Halo is doing. Lots of playlists. There's a lobby system, so it's going to be more easier to get than what you have on PC. And it will support the rank system too, and it's exactly the same thing. So with that said, I'm going to talk about the accessibility of Doom 4's multiplayer. I actually forgot to talk about this part in... I actually want to end this part for this video because I do feel like it is fairly important. Obviously, in this day and age, arena shooters, they're really, not that successful. Look at Quake Live. It's terrible it's doing terrible compared to like other free-to-play games. And look at the new Nexus game. It didn't really do good. I know Shootmania is doing kind of good, but it's pretty much like a cult game. Basically, arena shooters nowadays, it's more of a cult type of experience than like what you used to see back in the older days, which was like a standard for most multiplayer games. So with that said, I have to do stuff to make it more accessible for newer players, and one thing I think about is the movement speed. It's going to be like Quake 3, but it's going to be toned down. Definitely toned down. It's not going to be like Call of Duty. I still believe like you should still move kind of fast, but you're not going to move at the same movement speed as Quake 3, because I'm going to tell you guys a story. I have a friend who's a next-gen FPS. I mean, not next-gen. He's pretty much, an FPS gamer of this generation, and he tried Quake 3 for once, and he did not like it one bit, man. He didn't really like the movement speed, and he wanted to like go back to Call of Duty or Battlefield, basically like the more realistic type of shooter. And yeah, man, I'm definitely not going to like make Doom 4's movement speed so slidey, because that's definitely going to turn off a lot of people, and I do want this game to be like commercially successful. So the movement speed will definitely not be like familiar to what a lot of the arena shooters are like, but I don't believe that will make it more slower paced. Duke Forever's movement speed was definitely slower than Duke 3D, but it was still, a fairly fast paced game. Another thing I want to include is Spectator Mode. I love Spectator Mode, man. It definitely helps you become a better player, and I'd rather support that in Doom 4's multiplayer than having some super cheap weapon that anybody can use